Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video today, and today we're going to be talking about some news for the Houston Texans going into the offseason. This is great news for the Houston Texans. What a day for the Houston Texans. So not only does, we're going to talk about the news in this video. That's some great news. Also, C.J. Stroud is named to the Pro Bowl. That's one thing. But the big news we're here to talk about is Jerrod Johnson, quarterback coach, and offensive coordinator Bobby Slowik are both returning. I thought both guys did a great job with the Houston Texans in their first year. Johnson's first year as the QB coach, Slowik's first year as the offensive coordinator. Slowik had chances to leave the Texans to potentially become a head coach, had interviews with other teams that have already filled their vacancies. Tennessee, who just hired Brian Callahan, was interested in Bobby Slowik. I think there was another team or two that have already hired their head coach that interviewed Bobby or were interested in Bobby. But two of the teams that have still not hired head coaches were interested in Bobby Slowik: the Seahawks and the Commanders. The Commanders had interviewed. Oh, it was the Falcons who interviewed with Slowik, but they hired the guy from Los Angeles to be their head coach, the DC from Los Angeles. But there are many coaches, there are many teams that were interested in Slowik, and he's returning as the Texans offensive coordinator. So same thing goes with Jerrod Johnson. There were teams who were interested in bringing our QB coach in as their offensive coordinator. The Texans signed Johnson to an extension. Slowik also is returning to the Texans as well. I think this is great news for the Texans. I know the last game was not good, but this offense, I really liked the play calling that Slowik made throughout the season. I feel like there were only a couple games where there were some mistakes, and you could tell there were mistakes. And I feel like really the only mistakes, the only games it felt like Slowik was making really bad play calls, or this offense was just really having a hard time, were games on the road. I mean, not all games on the road, but there were a certain amount of games on the road that it was just a real struggle. Carolina, Atlanta, the Baltimore game in the playoffs, there were a couple games on the road this season that, it was bad offensively. And if we can work on that next season, I think this offense will be great. And I want to see Bobby Slowik to be with this team for another year as the offensive coordinator. But I'm fully expecting that this could potentially be Bobby Slowik's last year in Houston, because if he gets if he gets the look that he's got just after one season with the Texans, I expect things to be better with the Texans next year. I think this offense will be better. I think this team will be better. I think they might have more success than they had this season, which is crazy to think. Then Bobby Slowik, depending on how many head coaching openings there will be next season, I think it's way too early to start thinking about how many head coaching openings there will be next year. But I think that Slowik very well after next season could become a head coach in the NFL going into what would be the 2025 season. Let me know your thoughts on the Texans keeping Bobby Slowik, offensive coordinator, and Jerrod Johnson, QB coach. That's the video. If you guys enjoyed, and peace out. Go Texans.